In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the second part of the Republic Elite Forces set. And this is the set that includes the ARC Troopers, the Antenna Mold, Mandalorian Clone Troopers, and then of course 3 extra Mandalorians to go alongside them. This particular set is actually kind of where my journey started with collecting all these action figures. Started with Isabet Rao here, who I ended up getting alongside another action figure. I believe it was Stas Elite, actually, back around towards the end of 2018. Ended up getting a good deal for her. And then the other 2 Mandalorians here is Dread Priest, which I think is one of the neatest Mandalorian names out there. And then also this character here, Midge Gillimar. Then we have the 2 Shadow ARC Troopers. And then it normally only includes 2 of the Antenna Mold clones here, but the seller I ended up getting these from was nice enough to send me an extra, so now I have 3. And it is nice to have 2 at least that are not yellowed at all in any way. This one's not the worst. It really shows up in this light here, but if it's on a shelf and just natural light or in a shaded area, it doesn't really show up as much. But anyways, we'll just go ahead and dive into this, and we'll take a look at the action figure that started it all for me for this set, Isabet Rao. Personally, she is my favorite Mandalorian out of the 6 that are included, with those 3 here. And a lot of that is because the whole purpose of why I got this action figure originally was mostly because I wanted to get some more female Mandalorians in my collection. And also, I can't think of any other Mandalorians that Hasbro has made that have a yellow color scheme. So she's definitely one of the most unique Mandalorians you can get. For the most part, she's just a repaint of Rav Braylor over there. But she does have some extra components to her. The belt is different. She has the comma instead. And then instead of a cape, she has the jetpack here. And then she will have a new portrait underneath. And it's kind of like a combination of yellow and orange. Very light orange color. She does have a little bit of a design on her helmet. Really like the design on her boots as well. As I mentioned, she does have a unique portrait underneath, which is a very nice head sculpt. And like I said in the previous video, I'm pretty sure that, if I recall reading correctly, these portraits are just based upon previous Hasbro employees during this time. And one thing I will note, because she has the jetpack, you kind of have to be careful with her ponytails here because, as you can see, it's kind of in the way. There is a way where you can kind of work around that, and it's not too big of an issue, as you can see there. But it is something to take note of. And I think this might be just the same jetpack that comes with one of the various Boba Fett's, particularly the Fett Legacy Pack action figure at the time. If it's not, if it is an entirely new sculpt, it's very close. And she actually has 2 ponytails, the one back here, and then the one braid on the side here. Articulation's the same as Rav Braylor, the ball joint, the head there, and then hinge shoulder, elbow, swivel forearms, swivel waist, swivel hips, and then hinge knees and hinge ankles. And her accessories are pretty typical for a Mandalorian. The helmet, the jetpack, and then the 2 blasters. Which are, at least at this point, it's blasters that we've seen multiple times before, but I forget if at this time these were considered brand new. I think these came with Saga Legends weapons accessories as well, and the Shadow of Darkside line, but were cast in black. So that is Isabet Rao. Next, we'll take a look at Dread Priest. Might be my second favorite of the bunch. Like I said, I think that's a very cool name. And very nice color for armor as well, this bright red. And he does have a lot of scuffs and scrapes on him. This is the reutilizing the tooling for Boba Fett, I think. But there are some differences besides the paint. 2 pouches here, which just looking at both action figures, I believe Yates Ward there, this is the same exact action figure, same sculpt, same everything. The only difference is the paint and the weapons. And then instead of a cape, he has a jetpack as well, which is removable. Has a pretty good portrait as well. It fits on pretty good. Articulation's the exact same as Yates Ward. The ball joint the head, and hinge shoulders, elbows. Swivel at the gauntlet there, and swivel waist, and swivel hips, and then hinge knees and hinge ankles. And for accessories, besides the helmet and the jetpack, it's the 2 blasters, which I think this is pretty much same as some of the others from before. And then instead of like a Sand Trooper blaster, he just has the Republic DC-15 rifle. But it is cast in a different color though. It's kind of like a carbon color. Mine's a little bit bent as well. Probably work that out. His hands are not the most accommodating for the DC-15 rifle though, because these are supposed to be the Boba Fett hands that carry of course the same weapons that Boba Fett has. I usually have him do something like that. And I think he looks pretty good. Then next we have Mij Gallimar. And as I said, this one's the least articulated one, and using the oldest sculpt, similar to Baron Atma over there. But he does have a very nice armor color scheme. This kind of reminds me of Montross from the Bounty Hunter game. I know we have the Montross action figure, which has the bluish armor, but in the video game, I think he looks more closer to this. And the sculpt, I'm pretty sure, is just an old Attack of Clones Jango Fett from the Saga line. unique portrait as well. Looks pretty good. And the helmet does fit on not too bad. I think it fits a little bit better than on the BRN action figure there. And of course, the articulation's a lot more limited on the upper half. It does have technically a ball joint at the head there, but you can only get mostly a swivel motion out of it. And swivel shoulders, swivel elbows, and swivel waist, and swivel hips, and then hinge knees and hinged ankles, I think. Yeah. Interesting they would give them the articulation in the legs, but they wouldn't bother to do it in the arms as much. I'd rather have had it the other way, if anything. But it's alright. It gives the action figure some character. And then he comes with the standard DC-15 rifle as well, but this one's just all in black. And then, of course, the jetpack is removable. Between this guy and BR in there, I ended up getting both of them at the same time. They were the last Mandalorians I ended up getting in the set. Then Dread Priest and Yats Ward, I ended up getting the same exact time in 2019, I think. So that's the 3 Mandalorians in this set. Then we'll take a look at the ARC Troopers here. Oops. Both of them are the exact same, and they are just repaints of the ARC Troopers back there. But very nice color scheme. And I'm a big fan of this ARC Trooper mold. In fact, I like it better even than the TVC mold. At least the legs have a little bit more flexibility about them. So they do have, looks like a Mandalorian symbol. It almost looks like a Death Watch symbol on the side of their helmet there. And then they have another one, and both of them have the exact same thing. Then a nice combination of being cast in black. Looks like the undersuit here is in gray, and then some reds throughout. And this comic here, I'm pretty sure, is from the. It's the same mold of ARC Trooper from the comic pack that I think includes a Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan and then ARC Trooper Alpha. But then this one's just in red, and it is very tattered, and both are the exact same. Looks very nice. It does have this cable running to his gauntlet here from the pauldron. Articulation is very good. He does have a ball joint at the head, and hinge shoulders, elbows, swivel wrist, swivel waist, and then swivel hips, and hinge knees and hinge ankles. And then rangefinder is not movable, and it's the same with all these as well. The pauldron doesn't show up as much, but oftentimes the helmet on, you kind of see the chin underneath. It's one thing that was common with a lot of the clones at the time. But he does kind of have a tight helmet. It's slightly different, but it was pretty typical to Morrison head sculpt at the time. But this one has a little bit more of a serious look on him. He doesn't have the open mouth at all. But it's a very good head sculpt. I think this whole sculpt in general holds up. Then for his weapons and accessories, it's just a standard ARC Trooper blaster, which is about the same thing that we got at the time. As you can see, the elastic bands are breaking up here, but I'll leave them on for now. This guy doesn't really have too much difficulty holding on to this even without the bands. This gauntlet, it does have the elastic band around it, so I'm not going to remove it, but it is a removable piece, but you can't really do much else with it. Now I plan to do video featuring these 4 ARC Troopers here very soon as well. It's nice to add 2 more of the similar mold altogether. Then last but not least is the antenna mold Mandalorian clone. I'll show off my original yellow one. So I ended up getting this in a lot. I believe it may have been the same time as Dread Priest and Yats Ward. It was around that same time at least. And I always intended to get at least a second, but it is nice to have 3 now. Pretty much just the same thing as a standard Phase 2 antenna mold clone. The only real difference here is the Mandalorian symbol on the chest there. And then he does have the horns, I suppose, painted just above his brow. And then it's the standard antenna mold articulation. And then the antenna is removable. And then for his accessories, just the carbine, the DC-15 carbine. But that's pretty much all I can really tell you about this set. It's nice to finally have it all completed and reviewed on the channel. To be honest, this is one of the videos that I've been wanting to make for pretty much since I started really investing a lot of time into making a lot of these videos for YouTube. And it's been a big hole in the video collection for a couple years now, and it's nice to finally have it completed. I'll go ahead and bring out the other set here, put them all together, and then we'll do some final thoughts. We'll wrap it up. So technically, even though it's 2 separate packs, the way they kind of list it, in fact, you can still look at the listing on Entertainment Earth's site. It's kind of like one unit in a way. And I think when you bought the set back around 2007 and 8, you had to buy it as 2 sets together instead of separately. Forget what the original asking price for this was. I think it was kind of expensive at the time. It may have been like $60 even. But there's all, what is it, 14 action figures together. Plus all the various commandos and ARC troopers. that these characters are borrowing their molds from. So would I recommend this set for your collection? I definitely would. I think this is one of the grails of Star Wars action figure collecting. You get 6 unique Mandalorians. I think they're all perfect, even though some of them are not totally up to date with the tooling and articulation, for example. I think they're fine for what they are, and you can get them in various poses regardless. And a lot of these molds still hold up in my opinion, especially like Rav Braylor and Isabet Rao. Sure, I know a lot of people say, oh, they don't meet modern standards, but I think they're good enough to serve their purpose. Between the 6 Mandalorians, you also get a Mega Squad, which is a fantastic group of Republic Commandos as well. I'm sure a lot of people would like them in the TBC line, but who knows these days. We'll be lucky enough to get Delta Squad. And then the 2 Shadow ARC Troopers here, which, like I said, I prefer this mold even over the TBC one. Sure, it's not quite as articulated, but because the way the comma is, and just the overall look to it, I think it's better in various ways. And then, of course, you can always use some more antenna mold clones for your collection. Yes, technically we have a definitive Clone Trooper sculpt now. I'm still a big fan of the antenna mold. I'm sure it's open to debate as to which one's the best Clone Trooper mold between the antenna one and then the most recent TVC one. But no matter what, I think the antenna mold's always going to have a place in most people's collections. It's a good army builder. It's relatively affordable, even more affordable than the TVC action figures in some ways. But it's just a good sculpt overall, and I think it's going to stand the test of time. As far as price is concerned, like I said, this was between the 14 action figures here. This is almost 7 years in the making for me. So it's something you're going to have to be patient with probably. You might get lucky and find 2 brand new sets for a decent price. I have seen some every now and then, or you'll have to buy the various action figures in stages. Just do what's best for you, but if you're able to afford it and you're interested in Mandalorians and Clone Troopers, I think this is a must-have set for your collection. And as I said, I think it's going to stand the test of time forever, quite frankly. But it's a huge check mark I could put on my collecting list of Star Wars action figures I want for my collection. Happy to have them all. But anyways, that concludes this review. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for plenty more reviews in the future. There'll always be more to come. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I always appreciate all your support. And check out some of the links in the description if you haven't done so already. Of course, as always, thanks for watching.